All right, today we're digging into Alo Yoga. You've seen them everywhere, right? It's this incredible story of explosive growth and celebrity hype that's built a billion-dollar brand. But as we're about to find out, there's a really critical flaw hiding just under the surface. That's $1 billion with a B. That's what Alo was reportedly pulling in for annual revenue. And what's truly staggering is that just a couple of years ago, back in 2020, they were doing about 200 million. We're talking a five-fold jump in almost no time at all. And this chart really puts that insane rise into perspective. Between late 2021 and 2024, Alo's growth just dwarfed its main rival, Lululemon. I mean, they outpaced them by more than 20 times in percentage terms. They aren't just growing, they are basically rewriting the rules for how fast you can scale in this business. So, this all leads to the big questions, right? How in the world did this happen? What's the secret sauce behind this crazy growth? And maybe more importantly, is this whole thing actually built to last? Or is it just a flash in the pan? Okay, first things first, let's break down the strategy that turned Alo into this absolute behemoth in the market. So, at the very heart of Alo's playbook is this high-powered celebrity marketing machine. We're talking partnerships with icons like Kendall Jenner and K-pop superstars, and to give you a sense of the return they get. A single Instagram post from Jin of BTS was worth over $1 million in media impact. Just one post. That's how you build a viral brand practically overnight. And here's what's really, really smart about what they're doing. It's who they're reaching. Alo has totally nailed it with a younger audience, with their average customer being around 28 years old. Now, this is a massive strategic win. Why? Because if you win over the next generation of shoppers now, you're setting yourself up for decades of loyalty as their wallets get bigger. Okay, next, let's get into their financials, because it's completely different from almost any other brand out there. Honestly, it gives them an almost unfair advantage. That's right, zero. For a company that could be worth up to $10 billion, they have taken $0 from outside investors. The two founders still own the whole thing, 50-50. I mean, this just doesn't happen in the modern startup world. So you're probably asking, how is that even possible? Well, here's the secret weapon. Alo isn't really a standalone startup. It gets all its funding from a massive, super profitable parent company called Color Image Apparel, which the same founders own. Think of this company, which also owns the billion-dollar brand Bella Plus Canvas, as their own private bank, letting them grow patiently without ever having to answer to venture capitalists. And you can see the result of that long game strategy right here. For years, growth was just nice and steady. And then the pandemic happened. The whole athleisure market exploded, and their digital strategy was perfectly timed. It just catapulted them from about 65 million to over $1 billion in revenue in just a handful of years. It's just wild. But now, this is where the story takes a sharp turn. All of this incredible viral growth, well, it might be hiding a really fundamental weakness in the whole business. This is the key question that people are starting to ask now. See, when a company grows this fast, the pure momentum can cover up a lot of problems. But what happens when that explosive growth starts to level off? And here it is. This is the flaw. Alo's long-term customer retention rate is only 16.5%. Let that sink in. Fewer than 1 in 5 customers are actually sticking around. Now, compare that to Lululemon, which keeps over 36% of its customers. Lululemon shoppers are more than twice as likely to be loyal to the brand. This basically turns Alo into what they call a leaky bucket. They have to keep pouring enormous amounts of money into celebrity marketing to get new customers in the top, because over 83% of them are just leaking right out the bottom. That's a treadmill that's only sustainable if you can keep running faster and faster. Now, Alo's founders are smart. They know this is a problem, and their entire strategy has now shifted into what is basically a massive, all-in gamble to plug that leak. This gamble has 3 big pieces. First, an unbelievably aggressive expansion of physical stores. Second, they're diversifying their products into a whole universe of wellness stuff. And third, they're making a really bold move to give up a huge revenue stream, all in the hopes of creating more loyal customers. So let's talk about that retail sprint for a second. In early 2023, Alo had just 10 stores. Their plan is to have 169 by late 2025. They're opening these massive flagship sanctuaries in places like Seoul and London, trying to make shopping less of a transaction and more of a whole immersive brand experience, with cafes and yoga studios. And at the very same time, they're pushing way, way beyond leggings. They've got vegan skincare in Sephora, a line of wellness supplements, and get this, even ultra-luxury Italian handbags that'll set you back over $1,000. The goal here is to become this all-encompassing wellness empire that touches every single part of their customers' day. And this might be the boldest move of all. They had this successful fitness app, Alo Moves, which was bringing in an estimated $72 million a year in subscription money, and they just make it completely free for their loyalty members. They are literally betting that the long-term loyalty this might create is worth more than the guaranteed cash they just walked away from. So with all these huge bets being made, what's the final verdict? Let's take a look at the arguments for and against the brand's long-term future. One of the biggest risks and one of the strongest points for the bears is this major contradiction at the heart of the brand. Alo talks all about mindfulness and being connected to air, land, and ocean, but its sustainability rating from the watchdog group Good On You is very poor. The group says there's little proof of eco-friendly materials or that they pay a living wage. That's a pretty big risk to your brand's integrity. And this table really brings it all home. Look, Alo's potential valuation is right up there with the giants. Its revenue multiple makes sense given the crazy growth, but then your eyes go right to that last column. That 16.5% retention number just sticks out like a sore thumb. It's a glaring weakness. So here's how it all shakes out. The bull case is pretty clear. The growth is just off the charts. They've absolutely won over the youth demographic, and they are perfectly positioned to take advantage of any stumbles from Lululemon. But the bear case is just as strong. That leaky bucket of 16.5% retention is a fundamental flaw. The sustainability questions could really blow up in their face, and this massive retail gamble is just a huge unproven expense. And that brings us to the ultimate question. Is Alo's aggressive bet the farm strategy the blueprint for building the next truly generational brand right here in front of us? Or is it just an incredibly well-marketed trend, fueled by a mountain of private cash and celebrity hype that eventually is going to fade away, leaving behind a business that just couldn't keep its customers? The answer to that is going to define the future of this entire industry.